I found out about the Nurses Appreciation Luncheon when I walked past Conference Room B and saw trays of Panera bags and those little silver tongs everyone pretends to know how to use. The sign taped to the door said, "Staff only." Someone had even drawn a smiley face. My stomach growled. I'd been at my desk since 6:30. No invite, no memo. Not even a, "Hey, there's extra if you want some." I went back to the break room and pulled a granola bar from the vending machine, the crumbly kind with fake yogurt on the bottom. I chewed it slowly, listening to the laughter coming from behind the closed doors. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. My name's Rachel. I'm 42 years old. I live in Wichita, Kansas. And for the last 11 years, I've worked in billing compliance at St. Everett Memorial Hospital. Our department sits in the windowless hallway between administration and IT, right next to the janitor's supply closet. If you're trying to find us, you're already lost. No one notices our floor until something goes wrong, like a missed CPT modifier or a Medicare denial. I'm not a nurse and I'm not clinical, but I keep the hospital from lighting itself on fire financially. I catch coding errors, audit billing records, flag reimbursement issues before the feds knock on the door. I'm good at it, really good, and nobody cares. People forget we exist until someone above them starts yelling. Then suddenly, I'm the go-to fixer. But today I was nobody again. While they were all in there laughing about flavored cream cheese and fake team spirit, I sat on a cracked vinyl chair and picked granola out of my keyboard. The weird thing is, I don't even get mad anymore. I just take notes, not like a revenge folder, nothing dramatic like that. Just a quiet record, timestamps, emails, bad decisions, oversight, a copy of that one policy nobody reads, all neat, all organized. Just in case someone ever asks, "What happened?" I don't expect thanks. I've given up on that. But I do expect fairness. I expect logic. And when those fall apart, I collect receipts. A nurse from fourth floor walked in to microwave her lunch. She looked at me, then the vending machine wrapper, then said, "Oh, you didn't go." I smiled. "Not invited." She winced. "That's messed up." "Par for the course," I said, then walked back to my office. I sat down, wiped my hands, and opened the spreadsheet I'd been working on since sunrise. Another report, another set of mismatched revenue codes, another fire avoided before it started. Then I saved the file, and I opened the folder. The day Rick showed up, he parked in the COO's reserved spot. Big white Suburban with tinted windows, license plate bracket that said "Work hard, win big." He came in wearing a Bluetooth headset and a smug grin, talking like he'd already fixed the whole hospital on the drive over. He didn't introduce himself to anyone on our floor, just walked straight into the admin suite like he owned the place. 20 minutes later, we all got a mass email. "Exciting changes ahead. Meet our new efficiency consultant, Rick Madsen." His photo was attached, arms crossed, teeth blinding, standing in front of a flowchart. Next came the renaming spree. No more billing compliance and records management. Too old school, he said. We were now RCE, Revenue and Clinical Efficiency, like we were some secret government task force instead of 6 women and a shared printer. He gave us a logo with an arrow cutting through a dollar sign and printed it on lanyards we didn't ask for. He called a floor-wide meeting the next morning, rolled in 5 minutes late with an energy drink and a clicker. "We're going to reimagine operational throughput," he said. "Tear down silos. Drive cross-functional synergy." "What exactly do you need from us?" I asked, keeping my voice even. "Nothing yet," he said, waving me off. "Just buckle up. Big ride ahead." 2 days later, he brought in his son, Dylan Madsen, mid-20s, designer sneakers, backpack with a patch that said "Data kills drama." Rick introduced him as our new clinical data analyst. No job posting, no HR paperwork. Just, he's here to help modernize workflows. Dylan sat next to me, didn't shake my hand, just dropped his stuff, asked for Wi-Fi, then started watching TikToks on his phone while the rest of us finished the Q2 coding review. By Thursday, he'd submitted his first report. It was a train wreck. Wrong file types, broken pivot tables. Half the CPT codes didn't exist. The report listed the same patient under 3 different names. I stayed late fixing it. 3 hours of cross-checking and recoding. The next morning, I slid the corrected file to his desk. He barely glanced at it. "Just file the original," he said. I blinked. "It's wrong." "Yeah, but no one's gonna notice." I looked at him dead in the eye. "I would." He leaned back and popped a piece of gum in his mouth like I was being dramatic. It's just admin junk. You're making it a thing I didn't respond. I sent the corrected version upstairs and documented everything. Next day, Rick replied, all to a departmental email thread about standardizing claim routing. His words, I've noticed some resistance to innovation coming from legacy staff. Let's keep our eyes on the future, not on the past. No names, but everyone knew who he meant. I stared at the screen for a long minute, then hit print. I added it to the folder. That afternoon, Rick walked past my cubicle and clapped me on the shoulder like we were buddies. Don't take it personal, he said. I push people. Growth hurts. I nodded slowly. Understood. Then I added that to the folder too. By the end of the week, Dylan had access to our audit system. No training, no oversight. Just clicking through screens like he was ordering lunch. I watched him override a flagged claim without reading the note attached. I said, you can't do that. It's a high-risk payer. He shrugged. Looks fine to me. It's not fine, I said. It violates reimbursement policy. He smirked. Guess that's your job then. I looked at his screen. I looked at the policy binder on my desk. Then I opened a new log. 2 weeks later, we were packed into the budget review. 10 of us squeezed into the fourth-floor conference room, half the chairs wobbly, everyone pretending they hadn't read the spreadsheet ahead of time. Rick sat at the head like he owned the building, bouncing a stress ball off the table, nodding like every number was a touchdown. My turn came. I kept my voice steady, eyes on the screen. Line 64, $3,900 for patient engagement, coded under community wellness, charged by Dylan Madsen. I clicked to the itemized receipt. Luxury bowling lounge, premium lane rental, catered food. Date, Friday, May 12th. I paused. There were no patients present, I confirmed with scheduling. No outreach appointments logged. Rick slapped the table lightly, like I'd just told a joke he didn't get. Rachel, come on, you've got to stop nitpicking. I turned to him. It's miscategorized and violates the spending policy. It's morale building, he said. You want this place to evolve or not? My jaw tightened. It's logged as patient care. He waved his hand. Details. We're in a growth phase. Be a team player. The room went quiet. No one looked at me. Not my supervisor. Not even Carla from payroll, who used to share gum with me during late closings. People shuffled papers, cleared throats. Someone sipped coffee like it was a lifeline. I nodded once. Understood. I sat down. I didn't say another word. That night, I didn't stay late. I didn't fix Dylan's report. I didn't cross-check the denials he misrouted or clean up the EOB batch he'd mislabeled. I let it go through, exactly as he submitted it. And I opened a new tab in my folder. Every override, logged. Every unsupported charge, flagged. Every violation, date-stamped and backed by policy. I didn't add color. I didn't editorialize. Just facts. Just the system. If someone wanted to stop it, they'd have to ignore it out loud. I wasn't the shield anymore. The next morning, Dylan submitted a claims file with 3 duplicate entries. I didn't say a word. I watched him stroll out early for field engagement in a branded hoodie Rick had custom made for him. I clicked submit on the error log. Friday, he uploaded a provider meeting summary with no notes and 3 fake signatures. I tagged the audit team. Quietly, no drama. Just a field in the back end that said signature mismatch. Monday, he filed mileage for a city he never traveled to. I checked his calendar. No appointments. I saved the screenshots, added the screenshots to the log, sent nothing to him. He didn't notice. No one did. By the end of the month, I had over 20 documented entries, each one a little louder than the last. Fraud adjacent, maybe not quite criminal, but enough to get uncomfortable if anyone pulled the full list. The folder got heavier, not just in size, in weight. It didn't feel good, but it felt necessary. I wasn't out for blood. I just stopped hiding the mess. Let it stack piece by piece. Let them see it if they bothered to look. Let the system work how it was supposed to. Not for Rick, not for Dylan, but for the policies we all signed. The bowling lounge charge got cleared. Paid in full. No questions asked. But I had the receipt, the expense code, the meeting minutes, the audit tag, all sitting quietly where they couldn't be denied. The system didn't care about feelings, neither did I. By the second week of June, Dylan stopped pretending to care. His expense report started reading like a teenage wish list. $89 for wellness protein from some Instagram shop, $300 for tattoo lightening therapy. Under professional image standards, he filed a reimbursement for a 1-day juice cleanse and called it executive detox. I didn't blink. I didn't ask. I logged each one. Wellness expenses were policy restricted. pre-approval, clinical tie-in, and board-signed justification. Dylan had none of those. Just bold text, vague buzzwords, and Rick's digital signature at the bottom. I flagged each entry, quietly. No CCS, no drama. Audit trigger on the back end. Every single one had a trail now. People started whispering. Not management. They were still deep in whatever spreadsheet hallucination Rick was peddling, but junior staff, admin assistants, even an intern. Hey, one of them asked me by the copier, is it true Dylan got reimbursed for tattoo removal? I shrugged. If it's compliant, it stands. She blinked. That's not a no. It's not a confirmation either. She walked off, shaking her head. Another day, I caught Dylan in the kitchen talking to someone from imaging, bragging about getting pre-workout powder covered through that medical-sounding form. They literally paid me to lift, he said, laughing. Corporate wellness, baby. I just kept walking. The next week, Rick cornered me in the east hallway between IT and the loading dock. Nobody around. His voice low but tight. You've been very busy, he said. I've been doing my job. His eyes narrowed. You think this little act of yours is going to stop progress? Not my decision. He stepped closer. You're either on board with the new era, or you're in the way. I nodded. Understood. I'll make sure that's documented. His jaw twitched, but he didn't say anything else. Just walked off like he'd won something. I went straight back to my desk and pulled up the system logs. Noticed something new. Legal had accessed Dylan's files. Audit had opened 4 separate report chains. Someone was watching. For real this time, not just me. Next day, one of the auditors pinged me for clarification on Dylan's protein powder expense. I sent the policy reference and marked the request as response complete. By Friday, I saw 3 more pulls on his files. 2 from legal, 1 from a name I didn't recognize. Might have been internal compliance. I didn't say a word to anyone. I just kept the log clean, time-stamped, accurate. The tattoo reimbursement got flagged by a back-end review team. Dylan never noticed. He just kept uploading. Another wellness charge for a cryotherapy session in Topeka. Mileage and all. I flagged it. Left a note. No clinical notes, no appointment, no pre-auth. Review required. Someone flagged my note. That's when I knew. The silence was cracking. Rick didn't speak to me for 3 days. When he did, it was in front of people. We need to get everyone aligned on strategy, he said during a floor meeting. I stayed quiet. Rachel, he added, you've been thorough. I log what's submitted, I replied. He gave me a long look. Let's try to be less rigid. Flexibility is part of growth? I nodded. I'll document that suggestion. No one laughed. No one even smiled. That afternoon, Dylan filed a $176 charge for branded wellness tees. I opened the receipt. It was a custom t-shirt order that said, "Data don't lie." I flagged it. I added it to the folder. And I watched the review team open it before I even hit submit. The Aspen Lodge charge hit my inbox on a Monday morning. Client health outreach, the line said, amount $2,014.76. Lodging, ski gear rental, and a nutrition-focused team dinner at a Mexican restaurant that offered bottomless margaritas and nacho towers the size of a toddler. The receipt listed Aspen Haven Wellness Resort. I looked up the address. Colorado, our client, based in Kansas, hadn't left the state in years, no agenda, no meeting notes, no client name. I opened the file, tagged it non-compliant, missing documentation. I flagged the policy. I wrote the note, calm, direct, factual. Rick was in my office 6 minutes later. He didn't knock. You need to take that flag down, he said, standing over my desk like I'd broken something. This is a misunderstanding. I clicked save on the entry but didn't say anything. Rachel, I'm serious. Dylan was networking. That's outreach. That's how this works now. Was the client present? He was building connections. Was the client notified? Rick's jaw clenched. You don't get what's at stake here. You flag stuff like this, it sends the wrong message. If it's compliant, it stands, I said. If not, it's logged. His voice dropped. You're hurting the team. I looked him in the eye. Then maybe the team should follow policy. He stared at me, nostrils flaring, fists tight like he wanted to slam something. Instead, he turned and left. I didn't watch him go. I just opened the reimbursement portal and hit submit. The next day, Dylan charged $312 for community branding. 3 graphic tees, and a Venmo payment labeled Event Vibes. I tagged it. 2 nights later, he logged mileage for a patient education drop-off. Said he drove from Wichita to St. Louis and back, 8 hours round trip, yet his calendar showed him on Zoom the entire afternoon. I cross-checked his swipe badge. No exit scan from the parking deck that day. Flagged. He submitted another Venmo reimbursement the next week. Wellness Concept Night, Lou's Tavern, $97 for sliders, wings, and 2 tequila shots. I checked the timestamp. Friday, 11:38 p.m. Flagged. The charges kept rolling in. Faster now. Dylan was filing like the system was a faucet, and he'd just discovered how easy it was to turn it on. Meanwhile, the folder was swelling. My spreadsheet now had tabs: travel, wellness, miscategorized, unsupported, flagged, and ignored. Each item cross-referenced with the policy clause it violated. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't need to. Audit was still in the logs, pulling his files, reviewing comments, hovering on flagged receipts longer and longer. One afternoon, I saw legal spend 33 minutes inside Dylan's branding folder. No downloads, just review. The Aspen charge sat untouched in the system, neither approved nor denied, just sitting there, festering. Then the nachos came, literally. A charge appeared for post-outreach team building, nutrition-informed shared plates. Total, $264.09. Restaurant, the same Aspen bar from the lodge invoice. Line items included: bacon jalapeno nachos, fried pickles, 6 cocktails. This time, I didn't even flinch. I tagged it under duplicate vendor usage/prior violation flagged, linked it to the original Aspen claim, then hit submit. 2 hours later, Rick walked past my desk, stopped, and said, "You're turning this place into a police state." I didn't look up. Then maybe stop committing crimes? He didn't respond, just kept walking, stiff as a board. The next morning, I found a sticky note on my keyboard. It wasn't signed, but the handwriting was shaky. Someone from finance, maybe. It said, "You're not crazy. Keep going." I didn't smile. I just peeled it off, stuck it inside the folder, and logged 3 more entries from Dylan's weekend charges. At this point, the audit trail wasn't just growing, it was forming patterns, and someone, somewhere, was finally starting to see them. I was eating yogurt at my desk when the call came in. Block number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to pick up. "Hi, this is Gina from Med Supply Direct," the woman said. "We're just checking on a payment discrepancy." My stomach tensed. What kind of discrepancy? "We got paid twice for invoice number 13,764. Same PO, same amount. 2 identical payments, 3 days apart." I pulled it up while she talked. 2 entries, all right. Same vendor, same number. One posted Monday. The second cleared Thursday. Different request IDs, same total. 2,650 even. "Who submitted the request?" I asked. "Dylan Madsen," she said. "We just don't want any red flags on our side." I thanked her, hung up, and opened the approval chain. Dylan submitted both. No backup docs, no attached inventory receipt, just the same PDF copy uploaded twice. Metadata, identical. Rick signed both with his RM e-signature, not even a comment added. I flagged it. I tagged it escalation level. I sent it to audit, legal, and for the first time, the CFO directly. I didn't expect a response. I usually never got one. But 20 minutes later, I did. Direct reply from the CFO himself. "Thank you, Rachel. We're initiating a targeted audit of all recent disbursements under this department. Do not alter any documentation. Maintain all logs, no exclamation point, no fluff, just cold, clean authority." I stared at the screen for a second. Then I took a breath and opened the folder. I copied every flag charge Dylan had filed in the last 60 days, every wellness expense, every duplicate, every off-the-books reimbursement. I didn't move it. I duplicated it. A clean trail, untouched. The next morning, things got quiet. Not the usual kind. Not like people were busy. More like the air had changed. People whispered near the printer. Phones got answered on the first ring. No one talked near the break room. By 10 a.m., Dylan's second monitor was gone. By lunch, his chair sat empty. Bag still there, but no hoodie, no water bottle. By 3, someone tried to badge into our hallway. I heard the beep, beep, beep of a denied scan. Then silence. I checked the access log. Dylan's keycard had been deactivated. Fully. No trace access, no end-of-day grace period. Then someone from facilities came by, holding a cardboard box and a clipboard. Didn't say a word, just pointed to his desk. 30 minutes later, the lock icon appeared next to Dylan's user profile in the system. Access suspended. Contact admin. No details, no blast email, no announcement, just gone. Rick didn't show up the rest of the day. No calls, no passive-aggressive drive-bys, not even a cryptic meeting invite. The office stayed cold and quiet, like everyone was waiting to see who'd fall next. I didn't celebrate. I didn't feel anything close to victory. All I did was log the vendor call, attach the CFO's response, and close the folder for the night. The next morning, someone from audit pinged me directly. Can you confirm the original timestamp of invoice number 13,764 in Dylan's queue? I sent it. I also sent the matching metadata from the duplicate. They didn't reply. They didn't have to. An hour later, legal opened 5 of Dylan's flagged entries. I watched them move through the logs one by one. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6, like they were building a case. They were. That afternoon, someone slipped into my office without knocking. Carla, from payroll. She shut the door, lowered her voice. They walked him out, she whispered. When? Right after his badge got shut down. He didn't even go back for his jacket. I didn't answer. She glanced at my screen. You okay? Yeah. She nodded, half smiling. Knew it'd catch up eventually. Then she left, and I turned back to the system. A fresh batch of entries had landed. None were from Dylan. But Rick's name was still on the approval chains. And I wasn't done. By Wednesday, Rick was unraveling. He started pacing the hallways like he was looking for someone to blame. Snapped at Carla in front of everyone because the payroll summary didn't match his version. She hadn't even gotten the file yet. He rewrote an entire departmental report without telling anyone, then accused IT of system sabotage when the metadata didn't update. He held a mandatory sync meeting in the break room with no agenda and no minutes. Just him, sweating through his shirt and ranting about alignment and optics. No one asked questions. No one nodded. I sat in the back with my notebook open, not writing anything. I didn't have to. Audit had pinged me 3 times that morning alone, asking about travel codes, invoice numbers, Rick's approval timestamps. Legal followed an hour later with a list of charge IDs and a quiet request. Please confirm. Were these authorized under an approved expense category? I sent them everything. Receipts, policy clauses, the original routing path, flagged notes. Every answer pointed back to Rick. Late afternoon, I was heading to the copy room when I heard him barking at someone near the elevator. I know what this is, he said. This is coordinated. You people want to bring me down. The person he was talking to, Kyle from Records, couldn't fight his way out of a group chat. He just stared at Rick like he didn't speak English. Rick stormed off without waiting for a reply. That's when I noticed it. HR. 2 of them, both with laptops, both sitting in on Rick's impromptu huddle the next day. One even took notes. They didn't smile. They didn't introduce themselves. Just observed. Rick saw them, and you could tell it rattled him. He started hovering behind people at their desks, breathing loud enough for folks to stop typing. He asked for live walkthroughs of old reports, dug into folders that had nothing to do with him, and flagged people for low innovation spirit in shared files. That Friday, he leaned over my cubicle wall and stared at me for a second too long. You enjoying this? He asked. I didn't look up. I didn't blink. I just said nothing. He waited, like silence was the wrong answer. Eventually, he walked away. But I could feel it. The shift. His usual confidence was gone. Now it was all twitchy eyes and sudden meetings. Panic in a suit. I stayed quiet. But my folder didn't. Audit came back Monday with another set of questions. This time about payments tied to a vendor that didn't exist before Rick's arrival. I had the timestamps. I had the contract void of contact information. I had the invoice header that listed a Gmail address. I didn't editorialize, I just answered. That afternoon, my calendar dinged. New invite. Clarification session sent by the CFO's office. Scheduled for Thursday. Attendees, legal, audit, Rick. And me, listed under documentation support. No subject line, no notes. I printed 3 copies of everything. When I walked into the break room later that day, 3 people got quiet. Not in a shady way, in a nobody wants to be caught talking way. One of them, a scheduling manager I barely knew, whispered, "Is it true Rick's getting audited?" I shrugged. "You know I can't comment on that." She gave a nervous laugh. "Guess that's a yes." I didn't answer. I went back to my desk. That night, Rick tried to delete 3 old files from a shared folder. Didn't realize I had edit history access. I restored them before he made it down the hallway. Then I added the deletion attempt to the log. The wall was cracking, and this time, everyone could see it. I walked into conference room D at 10:58 with a 3-inch binder in my hand and a black coffee I didn't bother sweetening. Rick was already seated, tapping his pen on the table like it owed him something. He gave me a look. Not angry, not smug, just tired. The look of a man who finally felt the walls pressing in. Audit was on one side of the table, legal on the other. The CFO stood near the end, arms crossed, saying nothing. I sat down. No handshake, no chit-chat. The meeting started fast. "Mr. Madsen," said the legal rep, a woman named Emily who didn't blink once in the first 10 minutes. "We've identified over $50,000 in non-compliant expenses originating from your department over the past fiscal quarter." Rick opened his mouth, raised a hand. "Look, these weren't systemic failures. If anything, they were isolated lapses." A few gray areas Emily didn't nod. "We've reviewed your sign-offs on 34 reimbursements outside policy guidelines, 11 of which involve duplicate or falsified documentation." "Okay," Rick said, chuckling like it was a misunderstanding, "but someone should have caught this earlier." If Rachel was aware of all this, why didn't she stop it? All eyes turned to me. I set the binder on the table. No drama, no theatrics. I opened to the first tab. "This is a printed record of every flagged entry I submitted," I said. "Each one includes the original file, approval chain, and attached audit note. You'll see I escalated anything non-compliant or unsupported." Rick leaned forward. "You never brought any of this to me directly." I flipped to the second tab. "This is a log of every email I sent regarding your approvals. 16 total, each one timestamped and backed by policy reference." Emily slid the binder toward her and started scanning the pages. Rick kept watching me. "You should have told me to my face," he said, voice rising. "I don't read every system ping." "I told you in writing," I said, calm. "You signed them anyway," Audit chimed in. "We have those confirmations. Rick, your digital approvals are on every flagged item. This isn't about misunderstanding. This is mismanagement." Rick ran a hand down his face. "Okay, hold on. Some of this had context. The outreach expenses, for example, those were morale events. Branding. Engagement." Emily raised her hand, cut him off. "Aspen, Lou's Tavern, Venmo reimbursements to yourself. Is that the branding you're referring to?" Silence. Rick shifted in his seat. I flipped to the next tab. Section 3. Venmo logs with payout details. Attached screenshots, flagged disbursements, no supporting documents. He didn't even look. Just said, "This isn't how I operate." I was handed a team that resisted innovation from day one. Now the CFO spoke, first time all meeting. "No one resisted oversight," he said, quiet but firm. "They resisted sloppiness." Rick looked at me again, this time not angry, just small. "You really kept all of this?" "I log what comes in," I said. "If it followed policy, it stayed. If it didn't, it got flagged. That's my job." He swallowed. "You blindsided me." I closed the binder. "You ignored me." Emily tapped her laptop. "Just so we're all clear, the board has been notified. This meeting is documentation, not discovery. The investigation is active." Rick blinked. "The board?" "Yes," Emily said. "They've reviewed preliminary findings. And they've asked us to proceed accordingly." He looked around the room, like someone might jump in, back him up, call a recess, something. No one did. I'd never seen Rick speechless before. But there it was, the pause, the flicker in his eyes, the color draining from his face as the reality settled. He was cornered, and he knew it. The binder sat between us, thick and cold, full of everything he pretended wouldn't catch up to him. I didn't smile. I didn't feel like I'd won anything. I just waited for the next move. He burst in without knocking. I didn't even flinch, just moved my coffee to the side as Rick slammed both palms on my desk hard enough to rattle the monitor. "You think this is over?" he barked. "You think you're walking away clean?" I stayed seated, looked him straight in the eye. His tie was crooked, eyes bloodshot. The panic had finally broken through the suit. "Fix it," he snapped. "You go in there, redact your flags, reclassify the outreach charges." Call it misfiled. Say it was admin error. No, I said. His voice cracked. You have no idea what you've done. I opened my top drawer, pulled out a manila envelope, and slid it across the desk without saying a word. He snatched it, opened it, then froze. Inside, the Q1 financial attestation. His signature, dated. Clear as day, direct line. I confirm all departmental expenditures were reviewed, approved, and compliant with financial policy. He read it twice, mouth parted like he'd forgotten how to swallow. You sign this, I said. It was sent to the CFO. It's archived. Backed up, audited, his fingers curled around the page, crumpling the edge. You think this is about a form? He asked. I built this department from scratch. I kept the wheels turning while you buried us in red tape. No, I said. You buried yourself in shortcuts. I just stopped hiding it. He stepped back, breathing hard. You were supposed to support me. I did, I said. I gave you the data. I gave you the policy. I gave you every chance to fix it. He shook his head, desperate now. You don't understand what this does to me. My name's on this. My legacy. You built this, I cut in. You signed. You approved. You looked the other way. That's not on me. For a second, he looked like he might cry, or scream, or collapse. But he didn't. He just stood there, fists clenched, breathing like he'd run up 12 flights of stairs. I gave this place everything, he said, quieter now. I tried to push it forward. You pushed it off a cliff. He didn't argue, just stared at the paper again, then slowly folded it in half and walked out. No goodbye, no threat, no speech, just silence. The next morning, the badge reader at the front entrance beeped 4 times, then flashed red. I watched from the break room window as Rick stood there, shoulders hunched, phone in one hand, useless access card in the other. Security showed up 3 minutes later. Standard hospital escort, gray polo, black radio, clipboard. No cuffs, no raised voices. They let him walk. He didn't fight it, didn't look back, just stepped into the elevator with a blank face and an empty laptop bag. By noon, his email was locked. His files transferred to audit. His name cleared from the org chart. Like he was never there. Nobody said anything official. No memo, no farewell. Just a quiet reshuffling of leadership and a nervous energy that lingered for days. People walked slower, laughed softer, waited to see what would happen next. I didn't say much either, but when I got back to my desk, the attestation copy was gone. So was the envelope. In its place was a sticky note, this one from legal. No further action required. Thank you. I peeled it off, stuck it to the back of the binder, and closed the drawer. The fight was over, but the system still needed watching. The all-hands meeting was short. No names, no drama. Just a PowerPoint slide that said, refocusing on integrity, accountability, and operational excellence. The CFO thanked everyone for staying the course during a season of transition. Legal stood off to the side. HR nodded like it all made sense. No one mentioned Rick, or Dylan, or Aspen. Just leadership alignment and renewed structure. 2 hours later, I got the email. Effective immediately. Rachel Hayes promoted to Director of Billing Compliance. No exclamation point, no attached banner, just a single-line update and a CC to finance. I didn't say anything. Just read it, nodded once, and closed my inbox. No party, no card. Someone left a blueberry muffin on my desk. No note, just a sticky that said, "Congrats. You deserve it." I didn't eat it, but I kept it there till the end of the day. Later that week, I went down to storage and pulled Dylan's ergonomic chair out of the cage. The thing was expensive, still had his initials taped to the bottom. I peeled the label off, wiped it clean, and dragged it back to my office. It squeaked when I sat in it. Not bad, just enough to remind me it was mine now. That afternoon, 2 junior analysts from coding knocked on my door. "Can we ask something real?" one of them said. "About the audit routing protocols?" I waved them in. We went through it line by line, no fluff. Just policy, logic, and clear language. They asked, I answered. And when they left, they thanked me like it actually meant something. That night, I stayed late. Not for cleanup, not to fix anyone's mess. Just to file the folder. I put it in a cabinet under lock and key. No label, no bright stickers, no petty title like revenge or payback. Just resolved. The job wasn't clean. It never would be. But it was mine now, and I had work to do.